Hi, Baldwin.
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. So, first things first, before we get too terribly excited, how much fun is it looking for a new job in the midst of a global pandemic?
It was sucks, man. If you're not mind my words, that shit sucked. Um it was I don't know, it was patience. It was more so patience and
Yeah.
perseverance, and then just going through like the whole the rigmarole of like having to showcase yourself and your talents over and over again. But then for this career path, it's been taken since my undergrad years, so 2013 till now. So it's 7 years of just like perseverance, but then like not being able to give everybody my energetic spiel face to face so they can see me. So like seeing
Yeah.
me through, I'm like, do they like me? Do they not like me? But then seeing them all smile in front of my face, and then like that, my life instantly changed. So
And that's the I think everybody can agree looking for jobs is like the most miserable existence in this world, but to do it
right,
when you can't meet cuz I'm right there with you. I pretty much probably shouldn't brag about this, just kind of skated through college. So my resume was okay.
listen, you
But I
listen. Skating through college is I don't study. I
yeah.
have photographic memory, and so yeah, and I was a music major in my undergrad, so it was
Okay.
like repetition. So yeah, I didn't study for tests. It was like, oh, I can see it. Boom. Oh yeah, we're here with
and that
that.
and like as I really empathize people that are having to do this remotely because like I said I think my GPA was like a 3.1 maybe, so I
Yes,
needed like the face to face, like let me sell myself, not my resume, and that's
right,
gonna be tough to do digitally.
right.
So I'm not sure who was the recruiter you were working with.
I want to say Nicole.
Okay, yeah.
Nicole.
Did she give you questions beforehand?
Oh, it was Lindsay. Lindsay. It was
Oh,
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Okay.
Yeah. So Lindsay.
Lindsay's
I speak to
hilarious.
Nicole and Lindsay. So Lindsay to be the first person I talked to, then Nicole. She
Okay.
gave me the questions, and I figured like yeah, like it was just 6 questions. So I figured like just
Yeah.
look at it and just not worry about it too much.
I'm glad you said that. I'm a big believer. So my job is basically use digital marketing and social media content to basically have external candidates say I want to work there. So we do a lot of teaching specific content. And to do that, we have to obviously be in a lot of schools and be with a lot of teachers. And so often people are like, "Can I have the questions beforehand?" And I'm like, "No, like it looks pre-rehearsed. It looks too much."
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was looking at it as like, it's fine. Whatever they ask me, it's gonna come off right at the top of the head.
Exactly. I'm a big believer in that natural kind of let the
Right.
content just come. Like if I ask you something, you just have come to me with a pre-recorded answer. It's like,
Yeah.
my man,
It's
you
gonna
didn't
sound
have
monotone. There's not gonna be no life in it. You're just gonna say,
exactly,
oh, I don't like that. We're not here like, giving a definition of why you wanted to do something. I mean, that's
exactly. So
not gonna be it.
what was it originally that kind of caught your attention about teaching at in an NHA school?
Well, the NHA is because it's a charter school. So, charter schools for people in my position who don't have the certain criteria that needs for the state. So me, it was like I took the praxis in college, but they went away with the praxis. So I was kind of like in the SOL situation where it's like it was done away with. And so I was like, well, if I can get into a charter school versus an actual public school, they can find a way for me, like a loophole in a sense. It was like, well, I already have credentials, I have the degrees, and I have the knowledge, I have the experience. So what we'll do is we'll push you in the avenues to go ahead and get the certificates needed. So somebody from the outside looking in who wants to be a teacher starting fresh, who never been a sub or never did any student teaching or anything like that, how do I get a teaching certificate? Well, you got to go to school to get a degree. Versus their alternate teaching certification programs. And a lot of charter schools, it's like in public schools, you have a year to get certified. Well, I got a year to get certified. I got to do all this curriculum. I got 6 months to do this. And after that, I got to study for 3 months. And then if I fail, they won't assign me a new contract. Versus a public school or NHA that says, hey, we got waivers. You got 3 years. This is what you can do your very first year. Let's go ahead and get you on the roll of the customs of like actually doing like the teacher planning. Even if you've already done so, things have changed. There's more technology, there's more things. And then being at NHA is like I'm teaching kindergarten through eighth graders, but more so I wanted to teach eighth grade, and I told them that, especially that eighth grade math, and get more people from my demographics and from my area. A lot of young men and young women of all races to get into STEM, because that's what's going to lead and change the generations of the future. Like a lot more so inventions come for somebody who's like a software engineer versus someone who was like, yeah, I was a pro basketball player and then I got injured, so I went into the tech industry. That's because you had money versus the knowledge. So for me, it's like I can enrich the kids' minds because I was in their shoes. I went to school for athletics, but but I had an educational scholarship. You know what I'm saying? So I figured like going to a charter school that was like in a sense where my values met and we both intertwined as far as like the common goals, what we need to do for the young scholars, like calling kids young scholars is a big thing for me because it's like, that's what changed and invigorates the future. So I was like, yeah, boom, that's what it was.
That's cool. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because I've often wondered how many people want to be teachers but just don't want to go back to school. Like I'm not taking on $40,000 of more school and 4 more years and all of this prepping and stuff. And that's what's so cool. I've gone to a couple of like the I forget what we called it, but where basically we went and had like 30 or 40 people and each of them had like 5 minutes and they had to basically teachers, whatever we called it. And they had to teach for like 5 minutes and they were pulled aside and basically gave a mock lesson. And then they were given feedback and basically, how did you take this feedback? And we had people that were like, engineers, worked in the business field and realized that's not what they wanted to do. So it's a cool opportunity, I think, for a lot of people, especially that they don't know. Because my whole life, I thought you had to go to school to be a teacher. Like that's what I thought you had.
But see, growing up, it was more so like because I knew I wanted to be in education in a sense to go ahead and change lives. There's different avenues. So I found out first, if you go to school for a certain aspect of life, education, music education, mathematics, social studies, language arts, you want to be an English teacher, you go to school for 4 to somewhat 5 years. Being a music major taught me like you go to school for 5 years. I'm sorry, there's 4.5 and 5. If you can do it in 4, it's either because you're a music prodigy, and then they automatically send you off to a collegiate institute to get your master's degree in orchestrating, choral conducting, and band management and stuff like that. And then now you're off and teaching on a collegiate level versus what you really wanted to do. I got a friend of mine, he's an awesome cellist. He's a prodigy. He has perfect pitch. They skated him through all his music classes, graduated him, and then sent him to a school down the road to get his master's in music. And he was like, well, I just wanted to teach. If I get my, I didn't want to get my master's, it's too much. Versus me is like, I have relative pitch. So I can hear it and play all the things in relative keys and sing in relative keys, and I can arrange. I played a plethora of instruments. And it was like, okay, I couldn't get the job because I didn't have a master's. So what I found out was if you go to grad school, as long as you have 18 credits in your field, you are certified to teach on a collegiate level. So I went and did a different route and went through criminal justice so I can understand the criminal justice system and understand laws and how they're made and why certain laws are different in different states when we have, United States, but everything's, I kind of broke all that down. Then I tried to find a job, couldn't get a job as an adjunct professor because I lacked the real world. I was like, which one would be security guard? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not going to help me educate. Like, if you guys don't give me the opportunity. So education for me is like, okay, there's different backgrounds. And then finding out that you can do an ATCP program and then just learn a different skill, attach it to what you already know how to do, you can teach. So those engineers, they're good at math. So if they want to go to an ATCP program, they can teach mathematics all the way up until K through 12, as long as they pass the state test, which is not that hard. If you want to teach business, you might teach like CIS, computer information systems. If you were like, what's the people that do a reporter or
like a journalist?
Yeah, if you're a journalist, you want to teach English because you always have to revise and edit somebody's information. You can be an English teacher. So there's different avenues for people who are up there and like, I want to teach, but I have no experience teaching. So they can get through that avenue and then teach on a collegiate level because now colleges have a major for almost everything.
Yeah.
That was kind of like where I was at.
Completely unrelated at all. But when you were taking your criminal justice classes, did that, because you're right, it's unbelievable that we're 50 states, but we're 50 individual states. Like,
right. How
did you feel taking those classes? Like, did it make you feel better or worse about the criminal justice system?
Sucks. Criminal justice system wasn't made for people like me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't made for people. It wasn't made for people, period. The criminal justice system started with when the KKK militarized themselves in order to catch fleeing slaves. And that's how the policemen were founded. And then from then on, all laws were written to not justify crimes, but to therefore impact those who've done it. So you don't see people with a fair shake. And then all of a sudden, what's legal in Utah is not legal in Georgia.
Yeah.
And what's legal in Florida is not legal in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, you may have the right to bear arms, but you cannot leave that state to go to New York with your firearm. There's no firearms allowed crossing that bridge to come into New Jersey. Oh, is it because the crime rates are bad? No, that's just their own personal law. But I mean, like, we all have a right to bear arms. You can't even have a weapon in your vehicle, but it's the weapon is an attachment of yourself, and your vehicle is an attachment to your home. So your home and your vehicle and your person are legally righted to say that I can carry my weapon, but you can't do that in the state. I think it's like the state of like some, farm country state. People say you can take your son or daughter to the bar and let them drink if they're 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? But it's legal to have any person under the age of 21 to consume alcohol. But you will let a 16-year-old, you know what I'm saying? So like for me, it's just like, makes no sense how all these laws are made, but then it makes sense as to like why certain crime rates are a certain type of way. Like,
and that's like a lot of that stuff fascinates me, but part of me is worried about going down that rabbit hole just to see like the
it's a rabbit hole.
Like I can cross this imaginary line and I'm a felon, where 20 feet ago I was completely fine. And
right.
Like, what are we doing here?
I have one of my books. I keep all my major books. I have a book, a constitutional law. It's 1,000 pages. It tells you the Constitution on one page. It tells you the law, and it gives you the examples of why the law was created. It's 1,000 pages. And my professor said you have one semester to get halfway through the book. All I need is halfway. So when you take the part 2 of the class, I'm going to show you why that half of the book don't make sense. So when we took part 2 the next semester, he said, and I told you it don't make sense. And we went on to the rest of the book. I think I read like the first 700 pages that first semester. And I was like, the Constitution doesn't make sense. And then again, it still keeps the same phrases. Like an amendment means you amend something, but it's still there. So the very first thing that was written still counts. But when you amend it, it's just like, okay, this is what we attach to it, because now we got to make it more viable to the human race or to the persons that's going to be affected. Like women had no rights to vote. There's an amendment for that. Now women can vote, but still women have no power. So that's why you see like the disenfranchisement, like when women make like 3/5 less than a man, but then African Americans are 3/5 of a person. So you need at least 2 people to vote for one. But then when you see like an electoral college and how this works, and I'm sitting here, it's like, like you said, rabbit hole. It makes sense to me. And I was like,
and part of me, and I know this is a terrible thing to say, part of me just thinks sometimes it's better off just not knowing all of that stuff. Like,
right.
Like there's some sort of weird, I don't want to call it peace because that's a poor choice of words, but just thinking that it's all good for and it's not even close. And you
like
start
that calm, like that you already know.
Yeah. And
like what you don't know might not kill you, but still you might need to know. Yeah.
Once you start unpacking that, you're just, So how was the technology piece or what was the experience like not being able to be at the school in person? It's obviously it's stuff everybody's having to deal with, but how did that process work?
Well, for me, like I've done interviews before in the past where I had to come up to the school and do like a whole day. And for me, it was like, okay, I got the chills and the feels, and the students got to see me as like, potentially a new teacher. So they had like the good kids or the ones who are like most prominent or the smartest kid, or you may have a mixture of both, and they got to show you around the school and why they love the school. And then, certain people will come in and, sit down and be in the back of the class, and they'll let you, you teach and you go off the lesson and write notes, and then they'll ask questions like the students. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm in a day. On the computer side aspect of it, I couldn't reach out to just give it a firm handshake. Like, I'm about business. This is who I am. I make sure I dressed up from head to toe, even though, they always want to see this part of me. I dress up from head to toe to prepare myself for it, because that's how I am. Like mentally, if I feel good, I look good, everything will be good. So I just wanted to show them that. And then like it was just I was always making eye contact, always smiling, so they can see like he's very into what he's saying. Nothing was rehearsed. I had questions and then points and bullets, but it was making sure that I pinpointed what I had to say to each person. But it was a new experience again. Like I did phone interviews where it's like, oh, we're gonna Skype you, or we're gonna use this program, and then we're gonna do an initial video interview, and then you can come in for your second or your third interview, and then boom, that's how it was. It was strictly one interview, but it was like an hour and 40 minutes, and then boom, I got the decision. So it was kind of like, okay, yeah, if this is how it should be
Yeah.
in a perfect world, this would be dope. That way you can, because again, back to you were saying, like interviewing for is the hardest job in the world. Like not trying to find a job is a job. So,
It is. It's a nightmare. So how did the staff and the administration make you feel like connected to the school in an hour and 45 minutes digitally, not be able to shake hands?
oh, it was like they asked me pertaining questions like, "What's my philosophy of education?" I broke that down. A lot of people may seem, again, like it's monotone, it's pre-recorded. It's like, oh, my philosophy of education, but I geared it towards the school and the students. I've taught on the collegiate level. Excuse me. I've substituted K through 12, but specifically, what is your philosophy of education towards students, scholars, in the age group you're trying to teach and instruct? So, I was letting them know everything, like, this is how I feel and why education is important, especially at the years of you're trying to, traverse from 8th grade, early teens, pre-teens to like teenage, young adulthood, because that's when you're finding yourself. That little cusp in between, when you're trying to find yourself and make a name for yourself, your 9th grade year onto your 12th grade year. I prepare them now so that way they can understand how the future will become based off what they're doing. They were asking me if I got to choose a subject, what would it be and why? I broke down math because my mom taught me math, counting with my fingers, making tick tally marks. She's the one who showed me how to go ahead and multiply by 9 with my fingers from 1st grade. So I knew all my multiplication tables all the way up to like 15. My mom, she was like strict. She's like, well, you're going to go up to, you got 17 now, you're going to go to 20. And at a young age, mathematics was like very fast. And what's the concept? Men take over mathematics and science, and women take over history and language. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much the consensus of how it was growing up. But now you see a flip. A lot of people are intermingling in those things. So I just broke down like why I wanted to teach math. If I had the opportunity to coach, because I'm a 5-time national champion, I want to coach. I can be in an aspect where they see a black male educator versus women educators, because we need more black men in mathematics, in science, in the STEM. I broke that down for them. And every one of them, I know from the principal all the way on over, you can see the disparity is 2 males talking like me and you, and then it was 4 women, on the side. So it was the principal, and then 3 deans were women, and the last dean was a male. So there you can see again, it's like a paradigm shift, like making it seem like, hey, if I'm added into this group of collective, you can see that I'm wanting to do this. Like my need to educate is a difference between, just trying to do it just because. But yeah, we laughed and cracked jokes. I talked about my alma mater, Grambling State University, got it on my chest. And it was like, I am the way I am because of this. Like I'm patient because of this. They asked me about would I be patient with the kids, or how would I intervene when a few students know more versus those know less. How would I go ahead and engage? I was like, my biology teacher, Mr. Cook, never forget that man. When he introduced energy, the transfer of energy from one place to another, and how energy is never destroyed nor created, he used Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, my mind blew. He's like, because when Goku stands back and he's hitting the Kamehameha, the energy's already there. But I was like, well, if the energy's already there, wouldn't he just be walking around with Kamehamehas in his hand? He's like, you're smart. This is what happens. Energy's not displaced. It's there. He just has to create it. I was like, okay, but you can't destroy it. And so it was like one of those is like, well, if you know all this, then why is it? And it's like, because it's necessary. This is why energy is. And so I was like, I can do the same thing with mathematics. Y equals mx plus b. introduce different names or different things to go ahead and create for the exponents and the variables, because adding with alphabets is crazy. Like growing up, it's like we gotta add with alphabets, like what I'm saying? A times B is what, but no, it's just, it's a placeholder for whatever number or function you'll have. So teaching these kids this. So it was just like I got to fill them with my energy from afar. You get what I'm saying? So it was like I couldn't really, give them that, this is why I want to do it. It was more so like, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I have to do it when I'm at it. And I kept speaking positivity. It was like, when I start in the fall, you'll see, because you'll come up to the classroom and it was more so like I was always speaking positivity. So that's how they made me feel. Like it felt like I was getting hugs, because it was like, yeah, you did good.
I remember that. I don't remember what grade I was in, and my mom's a high school math teacher. I remember coming home complaining to her that, I forget, I think my teacher's name was Mrs. Hunt, and I'm like, does Mrs. Hunt know that in that math problem, there's not all letters, like, or it's not all numbers, like she's got a couple letters in there, like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Right.
Value of x's.
Imaginary number. If it's imaginary, then why am I working? I used to get upset.
Well, you put an I by it. That doesn't make it any more.
Exactly. That's just a letter. No.
So how did Lindsay and then what did you say, Nicole as well?
Yeah, Lindsay and Nicole.
How did they prepare you for the interview, and how unique and different this process is?
Lindsay was on it from like day one. So basically, I tried to apply on the site, but the site said there are no positions open. So colleague of mine was like, email the principal, because that's how I got my position. So I emailed the principal. I was like, this is my resume. This is my, this is me on a piece of paper. This is my resume. This is my cover letter. This is my telephone number. You can call me, text me. You can call me, beep, beep. You want to reach me. You can do everything. I'm trying to apply. And then 24 hours later, here you go. A recruiter going to come out and call you pretty soon. So 2 recruiters called me. The second one was a male, but Lindsay was the first one. So then when it was time to go ahead and set up the interview, Lindsay was like, hey, just don't worry. Just come prepared. This is what's going to happen. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You'll have a Zoom interview with the school, with the principal, and this is what's going to happen. I'm like, okay. So she pretty much was like, when we were on the phone, she was talking to me. She's like, you shouldn't have nothing to worry about, but because of this whole COVID situation, unfortunately, we usually do them at the school, but we're going to do it here. And this is what it is. What time slot would you need? What will work for you? She checked in with me before the night. Her number and her email was sending me reminders. So it was more for set to me. It's like, hey, don't forget. Hey, this was going to happen. And then even the day of, even before she broke the news to me, she was like, so, how did you feel? How are you doing? Did you, what were some of the questions they asked you? Did you feel good about everything? Tell me what you felt. So it was kind of like, again, she was welcoming me to like, this is the experience that we're all going through together. So although it's new for you, it's very new to us too. So it was like one of that, common voice. And when she broke the news, I was like, oh yeah, we talk about, yeah. And then she was like, even from filling out the paperwork to go ahead and onboarding process and everything like that. She was walking me through it. Nicole, she was like, if you have any questions, I talked to Nicole too when I called her. And then she was telling me too, like, hey, this is what you got to make sure you got to do. Once everything's completed, all you got to do is worry about coming on the first day, admit all this stuff is happening, and then we'll keep you updated. So both of them, they really did like an awesome job trying to, making sure like there were no gaps in information.
That's so cool. And I always kind of cringe when people, like, when they talk about their job and, oh, we care so much and blah, blah.
Right.
It's like that kind of, token rhetoric. But
right.
Because I sit normally when I'm at the office, I sit like a row over from the recruiters. And that was the one thing I noticed really quick, that they're more than just middlemen. Like, they legitimately care to get people prepared. And I remember thinking, that is so cool. And again, I hate when people are like, oh, our people do blah, 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 because we're blah, blah, blah. But it does. Like, they legitimately care, and you can hear them too. Like you were talking about, this is life-changing, but like they have a bell, they ring, they clap, they scream every time they extend an offer. Like, they legitimately feel like they're a part of the process.
Man, like I told her, I was like, I'm gonna cry. She said, it's okay to cry. I was like, you don't understand. This is so amazing. She's like, I am so happy for you. Like, I can't, like, I heard so many good things. I wish I was there or able. Like, she literally was like excited for me, and I was excited for myself. So her hearing her voice, you know what I'm saying? Like, you hear some people are like, congratulations, you got the job. So this is what you're gonna do, X, Y, Z, and I'll talk to you later. Click. Like, it's that's it. Or they like, sorry to let you know, or that copy and paste an email like, unfortunately, we're gonna go extend, we're gonna go our separate ways, but you don't tell you why. You know what I'm saying? Here, she automatically told me why they loved me. It was the interviews, what I was saying, what I was doing, how I was prepared, how I was engaged, and everything. Like, she let me know. And then before we even talked about it, we talked about our day. How are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing fine. You know, it's very hot. I just came from running. She's like, I'm a runner too, but it's kind of cool up here. I was like, man, it's hot in Georgia right now. Like, I just ran a 5K and I am sweating. She's like, man, I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry because it's kind of cool up here. I wish we could switch places. I was like, you know, it's cross country rather up north. And we talked about like sports and what we did and what we had in common. And boom, break the news to me. And it was like, just like that. And it was like, she was excited because she like, you could tell she couldn't hold it in no more because she was like, okay, this, I got to tell you this because that's what it was. And then even thereafter, she's like, I called her back and I sent her emails like, did you receive everything? She's like, yeah, I got everything. I want to let you know, congratulations again. People don't do that. People are not genuine in their positions. You know what I'm saying? So like for her and everyone else who I needed to contact, they're like genuinely happy that I am coming on board. Like they all knew or saw a video of my interview or just may have heard, or they just don't know, but they're just really excited to get somebody else who wants to come and teach. Because that's the hardest thing too. Like people don't understand, to become a teacher, want to become a teacher, you know, not having that support.
Yeah.
And that's why some people just don't do it. But man, I was supported by them, the whole staff, the whole way through.
That's cool. And Lindsay is one of those people. If you say, I want to cry, I'm going to cry right with you. I think we're pretty much good. Can I just get you to say your name and what position you accepted at NHA?
Oh, yeah. So greetings and salutations. Hello, everyone. My name is Baldwin Pierre Lewis. I accepted the teacher at residency at Atlanta Hearts Charter School. I will become the new 8th grade math teacher, and hopefully the future is filled with lots of surprises, and I cannot wait to start and see you guys.
Perfect. That's all I've got, my man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Have fun.
it. You too, man. Be safe.
Bye.
All right, bye.